Have you ever listened to a podcast episode that just sort of ran on and on and on, and you didn't really know why you were listening, and you thought it would be exciting, but then you got bored, so you flipped it and you turned it off, you scrolled to the next one, and you never went back to that podcast? That is what you do not want happening with your podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to teach you a very simple structure for how to structure your podcast properly for success. I'm going to show you how to properly structure the episode, different elements, 5 or 6 little things that you can just structure into your episode so that it's not only compelling and clear and entertaining and informative, but also you can get people to get in touch with you so you can keep in touch with them and grow your audience. I'm Brian Fleming, the founder of the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, where I show you how to say what you do in your marketing messaging for your podcast so more of the right people will show up and listen and subscribe. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go grab the free Speak Your Listener's Language PDF. It's a very simple 3-page PDF, and I show you a few very quick tips that are extremely effective and powerful when it comes to your brand messaging for your podcast. You can download it right now at podgasmshow.com or just click the description. There's a link right there. And it's going to show you how to say what you do in a way so that you attract more of the right people who you're trying to get to listen to your podcast and become subscribers. So go get it if you don't have it already. So, as with most things in life, when things are done properly, there's usually a correct structure for doing things. And I know there are a lot of podcasters, they probably have their own flow, their own structure that works for them, and there's not any one particularly definite correct answer. But what I'm going to show you today, these 5 or 6 key elements, if you don't have any real structure to go by, you're going to be able to use this to easily create very powerful episodes that will keep people entertained and engaged and locked onto your content and listen to the end, and also allow you to keep in touch with them and grow your audience. I've been a professional speaker for over 17 years and a copywriter, and I can tell you this, not every speech is created the same, all right? There are some speakers, and I used to be one of these until I knew better, who just have speeches that just run on and on and on. If you've ever been in a church service where you're like 40 minutes in and you look at your friend or your spouse and you go, what the hell is this guy talking about? You're trying to figure out why are we even here? Why is this guy saying these things? Because he lost you, all right? It doesn't happen just in churches. It happens a lot. It happens on stages, it happens in podcasts, it happens everywhere. That's what you don't want to happen. And with this very simple structure I'm about to show you, you're never going to have to worry about that. So the first thing you want your episode to have, every single episode, is a compelling title. All right, this comes down to knowing who exactly you're talking to. This is why it's so important that you have an idea of who exactly your, quote, avatar is, they say, your ideal listener, because it's very hard to dial in specifically to get people's attention if you don't know who exactly you're talking about, or if you're talking to too broad of an audience. So you want to have very clear and compelling episode titles. Now, that's not necessarily an element within the structure of your actual episode like I'm recording right now, but that's an important element. You want to start off by saying something very catchy, something that grabs people's attention. It either incites a little bit of fear of something they don't want to happen, or talking about something they do want to happen. I have my phone up right here, and let's see. I'll go through some of mine for this podcast. How to write a killer about section that will grow your podcast faster. That's a great title. You know why? Because this podcast is for podcasters like you who want to grow their podcast faster. And one of the ways you can do that is by having compelling titles for your episodes. There's another one. Doing these 3 things wrong will cause your podcast to fail. A little bit of curiosity there, okay? And I'll go through a lot of these in another video about creating titles specifically, but it's an important piece. You want to tell your listeners what the podcast episode is about, such as, today I'm going to tell you how to blank. And that's something they want to be able to accomplish or do or avoid. Okay, you want to get them right off the bat in the first 3 to 5 seconds. Let them know that, they clicked on this for a reason, and oh yes, I have every intention of fulfilling that promise. Because if you don't in the first 30 seconds or so, the drop-off rate goes way down. So tell them very clearly and quickly, and in the most compelling way possible, what the episode is about. Just get to the point. Second, give them a free offer, something they can download. This allows them to get value from you for free, but you also can collect their email address. For example, for this podcast, you see this in every single episode I do. I have the Speak Your Listeners Language free PDF where I show you a few very simple tips in this very short 3-page PDF about how you can say what you do in your marketing messaging so that more people will show up and listen and subscribe to your podcast. Not only more people, but more of the right people. That's a free giveaway I announce in every single episode because it allows me to get you into my world and also be able to continue to give you more value that's helpful for you and help you grow your podcast. I have information that I know can help you. So I want to keep in touch with you through email so I can keep giving you these great pieces of information that can help you as I produce them. And you want to do the same thing regardless of what your content is. So after you give them the free offer, you tell them to go download it here somewhere, click the link, whatever, go to your website to get it. Then you want to offer the main content that you promised them. This is the reason they came here. This is your main idea, the big lesson. Maybe it's 1 point, maybe it's like 3 points or the 3 core lessons you wanted to teach them. This is where they really get their bang for their buck, and this is where you really have to deliver. This is I would say 75% of the entire episode is right here in the content because that's what people came here for. They came here for the lesson. And remember, with these lessons, they have to lead up to a desired outcome that your listener wants to get, that your episode title promised them, and that you promised them in the beginning, in the opening of the episode. So always think about what is the desired outcome I'm trying to help people get. Again, this is why you need to know who your ideal listener is. You can't just have a podcast for everybody because you can't decide what this is going to be and have it be effective if you don't do that in the beginning. Which is why I help podcasters just like you get that done, to do that work, to do all that mental work so that you don't have to do all of it. I actually do it for you. I take on a few clients a month, and I'll tell you more about that later. But that's what's so important about knowing who you're talking to, because then you can dial in that marketing messaging. And instead of shooting the broadside of a barn with a shotgun, so to speak, you can engage with sniper fire, very precise sniper fire, and you can hit the top corner of a barn door, the top 3 or 4 inches. That's the kind of precision, military style precision you want with your marketing messaging for your podcast. And at the end, you want a call to action. You need to tell people what to do. You need to tell them what you want them to do next so that you can help them more, but also hopefully get them into your world, into your sphere of influence, so you can maybe even just coach them, consult them, get them a part of what you're doing, help them in whatever way possible. So for example, in this episode, I'm telling you right now, like I just alluded to a minute ago, I actually offer consulting. I do coaching for podcasters who want to clarify their message, but they're not copywriters. They haven't been professional speakers for 17 years, and they don't know how to take what they do and translate it into a clear, compelling message. Well, I actually do that for podcasters. And so if you're interested in me doing all that mental work for you, or even just learning more about it to see if we're a good fit, again, I only take on a couple of clients a month because it does involve a lot of work for me. But I love doing it. I'm a word nerd, and I love seeing your podcast grow. And I know how easy it is to fix the messaging because that's what I do for a living, okay? So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email at podgasmshow@gmail.com and put the word consult in the subject line. And we'll talk and see if we're a good fit. I'm not a good fit for everybody. It doesn't always work out, but if I can help you grow your podcast in some way, if you want help clarifying your podcast marketing messaging so your show will continue to grow and reach the right people at a faster rate, shoot me an email and let me know.